This is Jimmy Jive. You're listening to Motor City Rock Talk. Today we're going to be discussing a band from the mid-'80s into the late '80s called Affections. Not The Affections, Affections. And today my guest is the guitarist and singer from that group, Mr. Robbie Gohl. How you doing today, sir?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing all right. Let's start with a little background. Tell me a little bit about where you're from originally and where you grew up and what some of the, bands or artists that influenced you growing up.
Yeah, sounds good. I grew up in Livonia, went to Franklin High School there. I started playing guitar at about 15, I guess. Didn't really form a band until right after high school, I guess. I got together with Bob White, who was a drummer. Mm-hmm. He also went to Franklin. Played with the Love Junkies for a while here, a few years back. But I haven't talked to him in a while. But yeah, me, him, and this other buddy of mine, John Mongrain, we were just messing around. He was bass, and I was writing a few things then, and then I wasn't really going anywhere or anything. And so Bob, the drummer, knew these two other guys, Chris Zadell, Dennis Callahan. And he said, well, these two guys are pretty good. Let's get them. And Dennis played bass, and Chris was a lead guitarist. So I was the rhythm guitarist and, lead vocals. And I knew that he said, well, Chris can sing backup. So we got together and we did a little jamming, and it worked out well. Chris was a decent lead player, and he could sing harmonies pretty well with me. So that worked out. And we were both kind of on the same page with the bands that we liked. We were into, I liked everything from Buddy Holly, the Romantics, the Knack, the King Bees, that kind of stuff. So we got together, and I wrote a couple of tunes, pretty easy, basic, clean stuff. And we did some covers together. We got a set together, so we were going to decide to do a show together. So one of the guys knew somebody from the Token back then, and they put us on a bill with, I think it was Salem Witchcraft one night. It was a couple nights. Yeah, it was a couple nights before New Year's, and I knew they were kind of heavier than we were, but I said, well, let's try it anyway. So so we come out, and, we all got, clean-looking, Beatle-looking out kind of shit on.
That's cool.
We open up with an original I wrote called Dreamin' of You, which eventually we put out on a 45, and then we rolled into Heartbeat from Buddy Holly. And then I can't even remember the third song, but we rolled through these three without stopping, and I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go. I'm in a hard rock bar, and we're playing this stuff. And as we stopped, we had a great response. People were liking it, And I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then people started coming up and dancing. We started doing some Beatles, and it's like, okay, this is good. So that went really well, and that was like, all right, this could work out. So immediately, the owner of the Token, I think it was Dave Erf at the time, he comes up and he goes, hey, I got to have you guys New Year's Eve night and the night before with Salem Witchcraft. They're here. I'll give you $300 and all the beer you can drink and this and that. And you guys were great. It really, that's kind of how it took off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was our first gig together. And then we played around town, I don't know, a couple of years with the same guys. We went all over the place playing around. And let's see what happened after that. I guess there was another band at that time, and they were called No Statement. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they were a really good band. They were local, same thing, playing same kind of music we were playing. And our management at the time, I think it was Larry Marshall from Showcase Productions, he said, well, I think we should get Tommy Grant, Grant Castleberry, who was a fabulous drummer, and Joe Kopacki, and put him with you and Chris. Well, Dennis wasn't too happy with that, the bass player, but that's what we did. So it became a different, lineup, which was a better lineup, actually. We got, a keyboard player, more vocals, probably one of the best drummers in the city, Grant Castleberry, which I'll get on to talk about him in a bit here. But so we put together a group, wrote some originals. We got pretty popular. We changed management. We went over to Star Artist Management at the time, which was managing Toby Red and Bittersweet Alley.
Oh, wow. That's
the great. Look, we were all in the same management company. So we started playing the East Side more. We got into some bigger crowds, better crowds, actually. Got pretty popular over there. So that took off pretty good. And then we recorded another song that I wrote, Cheerleader Crush, which became very popular. It was a fan favorite. Put out a 45. That was a good time. There's another interesting story about that 45 now. We pressed 500 copies. I don't know. We probably sold 250 of them. Grant worked at a record outlet or something. He was selling them there. I had the rest of the copies in the basement. Well, the basement flooded.
Oh, no.
Copies were ruined. 250 copies ruined. So I get a text from a guy in Japan, and he goes, "Hey, do you have any Cheerleader Crush records left?" I go, "I probably got 3 or 4." He says, "Would you be interested in one?" And he said, "Yeah, I want one." I go, "Well, how much? What's the deal?" He goes, "I'll give you $125 for one."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Really?"
That had to blow you away.
And he goes, "Yep." He goes, "It's a big collector's piece over here in Japan now, and you'll be getting more guys looking for one." So I sold him one, and then a couple of guys asked me for other ones over there. I sold a few more, but it's funny that we sold more records over there than
Strange times. Was this band the one that you said earlier, playing at the Token Lounge, starting out at the Token Lounge with Sin and Witchcraft? Were you going by the name Affections at that time, or is that something that came up later?
You know what? We wanted to, but there was another band out of Ann Arbor, the Affections. So they said, "Well, you can't do it." This was, 2 months into it already, and we'd already gotten a following with that name. So I decided to just change it to the Effections, and it became Effections.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. That was why I was wondering if there was any connection with that. I was familiar with that name. I don't know if it was the same band or not.
We didn't have to, but they said, "Well, you better change it." And then, we did change it, and I wasn't real thrilled about it, but we did it. We rolled along with it. But after I hooked up with Grant Castleberry and those other 2 guys, and it was a whole new lineup. I said, "Nah, to hell with it. We're going with Affections. I don't care if there's another band named that. It's just what it's meant to be because it fit our style music."
Sure.
So we ended up going with that. And
where did you record these 45s? I understand you had worked with John Avedition. Is that where you recorded those?
That was later in the road.
Okay.
Yeah, it was way after that. The first one we recorded at, I can't remember, it was a studio on 5 Mile there. I can't even remember the name.
I understand.
Yeah. But yeah, we did that one there. Cheerleader Crush we recorded out in Ann Arbor at the old schoolhouse.
Oh, okay. Very popular place, yeah.
That was a lot of fun. But so when we recorded with John, we'd go in there, his parents were fabulous people. It'd be loud. It would be 1 in the morning, and we'd be walking out of there, and they're like, "Hey, good night." I'm like, man, that's awesome. But no, that was like the later parts of the Affections was at John's place.
Now, were those put out on 45 also?
No. We only put out 2 45s, and the stuff at John's was changing direction. It was getting more harder kind of stuff. We ended up taking on Grant's brother, Niall Castleberry, who was a really, really good guitarist. He passed away a few years ago.
Yeah,
but
familiar with him.
Yeah, he was good. We went, a little bit harder direction kind of, and it was a good lineup. I think out of all the lineups that I had, that was probably the best one for, producing good music.
Right. Were you guys, after that, still out playing, or were you just recording? Were you still out doing shows?
I think we did 2 gigs with Niall. We did one at the Ritz. It was really good. It was packed. And we did one, I think, at New York.
Mm-hmm. Were these headline gigs, or were you opening up for...
I think we opened up for somebody at the Ritz, and the New York one was a headliner.
Didn't come back to the West Side and play the Token, or the Studio Lounge, which would have been around at that time, or the Silverbird?
Yeah, we were pretty much done with that, and in about, I think it was about 85 or 86, that was the end of it. Yeah, we had very cool things in the middle in the 84 with those guys. We did Freedom Hill. That was fun with Bittersweet Alley. We did that gig. That was really fun.
Did any of your 45s of the 2 that you obviously pressed, now did any of them get any kind of local airplay, college radio or anything like that?
You know what they did? College radio downriver, that there was some airplay down there. Never, riff or anything, because the style music that I wrote, it isn't like, riff material. I mean, you've heard Cheerleader Crush. I played it for you. It's like, it's a good tune, catchy. People really, really liked it, but it wasn't going to swing it on.
I tend to disagree as far as that, because what you'd mentioned earlier about the Romantics, when I listen to your stuff, the songs, and I've heard more than the 2 songs, on your Facebook page. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Romantics in the sense of that attitude and that style, kind of that new wave rock, pop rock kind of thing. And the Romantics were big in this town. They were huge. So I don't know why you would think that you guys couldn't go over well with them. Well-produced music of your style, simplistic or not, it traditionally is very popular with the masses, and I think could have gone on. Is it just something that they were starting to get, those radio stations were getting more into hard rock metal type of things, and you didn't think you'd fit in?
I think so. I mean, I knew it was some good material, and I mean, I could see from the reaction of the crowd when we played the songs, how it went over and how they liked it. And I could see the crowd dancing and singing the songs, so I knew it was catching on, and like, okay, they're liking this.
I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? Ba-da-da-da, 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 ba-da-da-da. On the line to her, talking away. We were seemed so close, but yet so far away. All the time with her, feeling oh so sure something changed and now she's gone away. I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. What did I do to her? Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. What did I do to her? Things you said to me meant nothing now. I see on my own, I make it through the day. On the line to her, talking the way we were, seemed so close, but yet so far away. I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. What did I do to her? Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. What did I do to her? On the line to her, talking away. We would seem so close, but yet so far away. All the time with her, feeling oh so sure something changed and now she's gone away. I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? I don't know why she don't want me. What did I do to her? Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da.
Then they'd say, hey, play Cheerleader Crush again. Come on out, do an encore. We'd come out for an encore, and I don't know. It had a chance. I think it was good music. I mean, I'm not bragging on myself, but I think it was just decent music.
Good music. Did you ever, in any of these gigs at that time, go out and play like a show of all original material, or were you always mixing stuff in?
Nope. it was all original towards the end. When Niall came on board, Grant's brother, we went 100% original. That's what I really liked. That was my thing, was that, I loved writing music, and I said, you know what, we're going to go out and we're going to do all original, and we'll just wing it from there.
Now, as far as doing that at that time, you mentioned earlier, in the earlier days, you had management, and then you changed management again. Were you not being managed at that time near the end?
No, it was me running the show, I guess. I just called up a couple of guys I knew that, worked at the New York and the Ritz, and I knew all those guys. I mean, I've been in it for 7 or 8 years. We played all those gigs, and I said, hey, line us up something here. We're going to come in and do an original show. And they're like, okay, cool.
So because of that, you didn't feel management of any kind could have helped you? In other words, maybe branch out of Detroit? Did you guys ever go out?
No, they had no interest in helping. Yeah, the management companies, they just wanted their commission. They didn't really want to do anything else like that. And I got frustrated.
Sure.
It's like, I think I got some good songs here, and but
did you guys ever play out of the Detroit area? As far as you mentioned, East Side, did you ever go out of state at all, or go?
Yeah, we played Canada a few times. We cruised over there and played, but in Ohio we played a couple places. That's about it. We never really went any further than that play.
Were you able to, when you would play out of state or some of these other places, were you able to get more 45s? Did you print any more 45s to possibly sell at your show, or any kind of merch?
Yeah, we brought some 45s along and did sell some. Yeah, I mean, it was good. To be honest with you, all the songs that I did write, the best one that had a chance was obviously Cheerleader Crush, because it was catchy. And this one record guy, he said, yeah, if you were born in the 60s, this would have been a huge hit. And I'm like, well, it could be now, but
you were ahead of your time.
Yeah, nobody just wanted to take it on and do anything with it. And I thought it had a chance.
I've listened to all the songs, like I say, from your Facebook page. I like them all. I think they're all catchy. And especially for the time that you guys were out and playing, I am really surprised it didn't take on more. I'm surprised that management didn't. Because there were a lot of national acts that were still doing that kind of style and were hitting it off. Do you think it had anything to do with the fact that you were from the Detroit area and there was that, that whole thing with a lot of the labels, we don't want to deal with Detroit? You think it had anything to do with that?
Yeah, the Detroit curse, they call it, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I've heard about that too. And I don't know. I really don't think so, but you never know. I don't know. I could, it was, the music that I wrote was not typical of everything else. I mean, you either liked it or you didn't like it. I can remember one time at the Token when David Black, the guitarist for Seduce, he was there. And I was up there singing a couple of originals, and I could see him standing back there watching and, what type of music he played.
Right.
And then, we were done. He goes, hey, man, come here. He goes, I really like your original style. You writing some good stuff, man. And I'm like, well, thank you.
The high compliment.
The guy, obviously, I mean, he did what he did, exceptionally well, but he could, he saw that and listened, and he's like, yeah, that is pretty cool stuff. So that, gave me a little bit of boost. But I don't know, when you get a compliment from a guy like that, he sees deeper than just the metal scene. So
sure.
That was fun.
When did the band officially break up, let's say, and part ways?
God, I'd have to say 86.
86? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you go on to do anything else? Did you try and form any other groups?
No, I take that back. I did. I got together with a couple guys from Quest. I'm sure you know who they were.
Yeah.
I grew up with those guys. So
really?
I got Ed New, and I got Doug Malone, who was the bass player, and I got Victor Marcioni. So we got together. We wrote some songs, did a few gigs. Ed was really talented from Quest. He was one of the most talented. The stuff that he put out, engineered and did, it was really, really top notch. And I'm surprised it didn't go anywhere either. But yeah, that was fun. That was 87, 88. We did that for a couple of years, and then that was it. That was the end of that after that.
Bills in the sunshine,
after that, did you pretty much just disappear from the music scene?
Pretty much. Got married, had kids. I still mess around on the guitar, but yeah, that was pretty much the end of it. You know, when I was playing with Ed and Doug from Quest there for those 2 years, we did put together some pretty decent songs. We recorded them. I don't have them on my page anywhere there, but I could get a hold of them if they came out really well. Ed was producing the stuff, and then me and him were writing it together, and it was clean. It was good harmonies, great catchy stuff. And then with him in there, it came out pretty darn good.
You mentioned the one song you thinking was your best. Dreaming of You is an incredible song, very catchy. Like I said, everything I've heard of yours follows the same basic structure and flow, but every bit of it's catchy. Came out today, people would be digging it. So I take it that you're not living in the Livonia area anymore?
Oh, no, I'm out in Troy.
Have you always been involved in art, like from an early age?
Oh, yeah. They actually took me aside in third grade and said, hey, you know, you've got a little something here that the other kids don't have. We can see that. And I actually did do a year at the Center for Creative Studies. I got accepted there, but decided that, you know, designing cars wasn't my thing.
Oh.
I want to paint wildlife, you know, and that's what the Center for Creative Studies, it's a great school, but it's more for graphic design cars. I'm like, that wasn't my true love. My true love was painting wildlife.
Is that pretty much all you like to paint is wildlife then?
Yeah, it is pretty much. You know, I do a few dog portraits for people if they're friends and, you know, good friends, and they say, hey, you know, will you do a portrait for me? Yeah, but I could actually line up a dog portrait business, paint dogs for the rest of my life if I wanted to, but I just do not want to do that.
I was going to say, because people with their pets, my wife is like that. We have a Schnauzer, and she's like that. And we know a lot of people that are into that. Yeah, you'd be working night and day.
Yeah, I could,
you wouldn't have any free time to duck hunt or do anything.
You're right. I'd be going at it night and day, just lined up like a production line. And then again, that takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, of course it does.
Make money and be successful painting the stuff that I really love. That's what I'm going to.
Do you work a regular job, or do you do that pretty much all?
No, this has been it for over 10 years. You know, I worked at a paint store for a while. Mm-hmm. United Paint. I got John Isom in there from Bad Habit. All of us musicians were just getting them in. We all worked at these paint stores.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, it's just to pay some bills and then play gigs. That was what we did.
That's awesome.
That was fun.
So you had mentioned earlier also that you still pick up the guitar and play a bit. I thought I saw on your site there a couple of videos of yourself playing solo. Am I correct?
Yeah. That stuff that I did, I recorded there's a kid across the street there. He knew this kid, and he said he's got a little studio in his basement. I said, well, I'd like to hear what he did. And he did some stuff, and it was just amazing. And this kid was 15 years old, and I'm like, holy cow. So he gave me his number. His name was Armando. And I went over there and he said, okay. So I had these songs that I had written, you know, in the 80s, most of them in the 80s I'd never recorded. Yeah. Went over to his place and he says, okay, I'll charge you $20 for a song. And I'm like,
damn, that's cheap.
Yeah, like, because he was just beginning. But
I mean,
super talented.
But today the technology, as you know, has gone leaps and bounds and stuff for home studios and all that, as long as they know what they're doing. Those were excellent. I thought those were excellent songs. Now, so did you do that basically for fun then?
Yeah, that was all stuff that I had never recorded. You know, I was turned on to this kid and I heard what he did with some of his music. And then I said, hey, will you record these 5 or 6 for me? He says, absolutely. Come on over. And I went over to his house and, you know, he goes, you won't need an amp. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, used to that.
You're not, and I had never, you know, I hadn't recorded since John's studio. Right. You know, we had 8-track down there. You know that.
Yeah.
We had, you know, splicing stuff together. And here I am in this kid's basement because you're not even going to need an amp.
Wow.
And he's like, well, what tone do you want? I go, I don't know, something clean. And he goes, you know, 10 different tones. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. And I'd sing a flat note. He goes, oh, don't worry, I can fix it.
Yeah.
Next thing
yeah, it's all like Pro Tools or whatever they use, whatever the kids are using now. It's incredible.
It was fantastic.
See, you've got even more material that you could put on in Spotify. The early band stuff and that. And like I said, I think it's all catchy. I think it's all really good. It could catch on.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate
that. Not that you'd be looking to become a rock star at your age and all that, but the whole idea would be just to get the music out there to as many people. You know, because people love music, they love good music, and I think your stuff is really
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. That's very nice to know. And like you say, yeah, at my age, I'm not looking to be a rock star.
Right. Yeah, of
But
course.
if somebody liked it and got a kick out of it, then that would be fantastic. That would just make me happy.
Well, I would guarantee there would be people that would get a kick out of it and love it because, like I said, as you probably know, it's from getting older, everything comes back around as far as styles and music and everything, and different formats of music for that matter. I mean, back in your day, like I said, you put the stuff out in 45. Of course, that was the standard back then, or vinyl records. Then it all went digital with CDs. Well, 45s and vinyl are back, and the kids are the one that are into it. One last question for you.
Yep.
Now, you had mentioned most of your stuff was clean as far as the sound. What kind of gear were you using back in the day as far as like guitars and amps to create that clean type sound?
Oh man, I wish I would have had better stuff. I mean, I had some good stuff. I ran a 73 Telecaster Deluxe were my two main guitars. I had two of them. And I ran it through a HD 130 Music Man head and a Marshall bottom. Reverb on 10 and clean. You know what I mean? That's what, and the effects and the pedals and stuff they have out now. If I'd had that stuff back then, I would have just been in heaven. I mean,
yeah, of course. And it's a lot lighter now too. That was
yeah. So yeah, that's what I ran with strictly Fenders. I mean, I had a Strat. Yeah, I had a couple Strats.
So you were never a Gibson man or anything like that?
You know what? I loved Gibsons, but I had an SG, a 63 SG when I was 17, I think, and I wish I still had it. Of course, I sold it for beer money or to buy a girl a diamond ring or something.
Sure.
For $200, It's probably worth, $2,000. I would kill to have that guitar back. And that guitar actually had the best action out of anything I've ever played in my life. That SG was just beautiful.
Oh, geez. It kind of surprised me, though, that you'd mentioned Marshall is your application, because Marshall is not, even at that time, known for necessarily clean.
Yeah, I got the clean through the Music Man head.
Oh, okay.
That's where, because I had used Dave Gersten's setup one time from Bittersweet Alley. He goes, yeah, try my setup, Bob. And it was an HD 130 with a Marshall bottom, and I plugged my guitar into it, and I'm like, yep, I really like that. So that's
so you weren't using a Marshall head, just a Marshall bottom.
Yes, no Marshall.
Okay,
head. Just a bottom.
I get you. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that Marshall head, it wouldn't have been my style. But no, just the bottom. So.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate you talking to me today. Again, I really enjoy your songs. The original material, I think, is great. And the stuff that you recorded more recently, solo-wise, I think is great too. It's very catchy. I really would encourage you to really reevaluate or think about putting them on Spotify. If you reach 200 or 300 people, that's more than maybe you have now and stuff.
That's absolutely, and it would bring joy to me if someone said, "Hey, I really like this stuff."
And that's
like to say at this point in my game, it would just be a nice compliment to say, "Hey, I really like your music." And if I had to do it all over again, I was in it to get rich. If I had to do it all over again, I tell people young, I says, hey, just go out, play, have fun. The odds of something ever happening are zero.
Yeah.
Not zero, but,
but
very
totally
slim. So when you're out there, these young kids, just enjoy the moment. I mean, and I did enjoy the moments, but I was really pushing like everybody else.
Yeah, at that time especially. Yeah, of course.
So that was my story.
You have a good day, buddy.
All right, you too.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I see her picture every day. Looking to meet her anyway. We'll dream of what could be for you and me. cheerleader crush, cheerleader crush on you. Oh baby, what do I do with this cheerleader crush I got on you? I got on you. Oh baby, tell me what to do. What do I do with this cheerleader crush I got on you? I got on you. Oh baby, tell me what to do. What do I do with this cheerleader crush I got on you? I got on you. Oh baby, tell me what to do. What do I do with this cheerleader crush I got on you? I got on you. Oh baby, tell me what to do. What do I do?
All right, that was Bobby Gohl. He was in a band called Affections, not the Affections, Affections with an A. Later on changed it to the Effections with an E, and he played with the members of Quest for a while. They put out 245s. I've been encouraging to put stuff out on Spotify or anything like that. He hasn't done that to date. He's also recently recorded some solo stuff of his own, stuff from back in the day. It's all really catchy stuff. It's kind of a throwback to the 60s pop rock thing, but danceable, rememberable, hooky. Once you hear it, you'll know it, and you'll go, wow, this is really cool stuff. So with that being said, I would encourage you to seek out the Affections, that's with an A, on YouTube, and check out a couple of videos that they have. I think you'll really dig it. Hey, is that old stereo system of yours still giving you the blues? Maybe the receiver has a blown channel, or the turntable just doesn't work right. Well, then you should visit my friends at 7 Grand Audio Service. They've been in business for over 40 years. The owner, Dash, and his assistant, Harry, can fix just about anything. It doesn't matter if it's vintage or newer. It doesn't matter. They can fix just about anything. I'm talking receivers, tape decks, turntables, EQs, power amps, and yes, guitar and bass amps. Phone number over there is 313-533-3635. We're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. If you have any issues whatsoever with any kind of audio equipment of any kind, you really need to check them out. And tell them Jimmy sent you. Anyway, with that being said, as I always say, keep rocking.
Waited for your call. Guess it's time to say our goodbyes. Calendars on the wall, and nothing new but lies. As I waited for your call, guess it's time to say our goodbyes. Our goodbyes. So catch me if you can, 'cause I'm falling through your hand. Well, it's a long way down till we hit the ground. I won't be coming back. So catch me if you can, 'cause I'm falling through your hand. As I move through another day with you, I hope you'll understand. This time around.